Bible prophecy is active and unfolding daily. Zechariah 12, Isaiah 17, Psalm 83, Ezekiel 38. Here is what the LameStream Media is not telling you. Shalom, my friends. Welcome to this week's newscast and to our new background map, which I introduced just last week. Now, you'll notice in the top right corner of your screen, there's a legend of Israel's enemies, and you'll see their corresponding logos surrounding Israel in the interest of watching Bible prophecy unfold, Abba willing, before our very eyes. Now, for the past few years, we've been looking at a pretty common scenario in Syria of various coalition countries going after ISIS and driving them out of Syria, as well as other places. But now we are watching Iran moving in to occupy every place where ISIS has been driven out. Currently, we see Hamas, backed by Iran, in Gaza, threatening Israel from the south, and in Lebanon, threatening Israel from the north. Then we see Hezbollah increasing the darkness of Hamas and Iran by threatening Israel at its northern border. And then we see ISIS threatening Israel from the northeast in the Golan Heights, as well as from the south in Sinai. These logos will remain where they are, my friends, until I learn of them leaving or moving positions. Now, as I pointed out last week, I believe we will be seeing in a very visual way the prophecies of Zechariah, Isaiah, David, and Ezekiel unfolding in more rapid-fire sequences than we've ever seen before. And I say that because of the great sign of Revelation 12 making its grand announcement this month. By the time we get to next week's newscast, all the celestial signs of September's announcement, the great sign of Revelation 12, will be completed. First, tomorrow, September 20th, the great pyramid star Al-Nitak, the Wounded One, is at meridian as the concealed sun and moon rise above the eastern horizon, and Leo's king star Regulus will be sitting above the eastern horizon, precisely at the Christ angle of 26.3 degrees, the angle of both the ascending and descending passageways of the Great Pyramid. 26.3 degrees is called the Christ angle because when taken north of east from the site of the Great Pyramid, this angle directly bisects Bethlehem. Also, Venus, the morning star, moves into conjunction with Leo's king star Regulus at a perfect alignment of, are you kidding? That's right, the Christ angle, 26.3 degrees. Then, this Thursday and Friday, September 21st and 22nd, when Yom Zakar, Yom Teruah, the Feast of Trumpets, is observed, Jupiter, the king planet, who has been crowning and exiting the womb of the woman since September 9th, enters the Christ angle below the horizon. And then finally, this Saturday, September 23rd, the Jupiter family comet 67P appears in conjunction with the moon at the woman's feet. Wow. The great sign, the Ot Hagadol of Revelation 12, is upon us, my friends. Now, by the way, I have an apology to make. Nearly 4,000 of you, my Vimeo friends, received 2 emails from me last Friday that gave links to videos that don't exist. It was an error on my part. I was watching On the Waterfront starring Marlon Brando. Now, Friday, oftentimes it's the only day I really have to, experience some chill time. So on the waterfront, I've seen parts of it throughout my life, but I don't think I ever really watched the movie from beginning to end. And everybody, they all go crazy about Marlon Brando's performance. And, I'm granted the guy's a wonderful artist. But personally, I wouldn't suggest watching the movie. I think the movie bites, It's just a depressing story. I don't need it. But I was watching it, and there's this one scene where Marlon says, "I don't know nothing." And I said, oh, geez, I got to grab this. So I grabbed my iPad, and I went back to that scene, and I was trying to figure out how to get it from my iPad over onto my Mac. And my first thought was to save it into my Dropbox, because that's a sharing thing. But after 5 minutes, my iPad says, oh, we couldn't do that. It didn't work. And my iPad was lying to me. I didn't know that at the moment. So there was another option. I could send it up to Vimeo. I sent it up to Vimeo, and then I went to my Vimeo channel. I couldn't see it anywhere, so I sent it again, not knowing that Vimeo was just going to send it out to all 4,000 of you who subscribe to my Vimeo channel. And anyway, moments later, I found it was in my Dropbox. The iPad lies all the time, I gather. So I went to Vimeo, I deleted it. And then, there's a number of people that saw it. They were commenting on it and everything. And all I have to say about that is, I don't know nothing. So anyway, I guess I got to use it today.
I don't know nothing.
Haven't heard the questions yet.
Well, I don't know nothing.
Turning to wars and rumors of wars, from Haaretz, Iran signed a contract last week to provide 5 gas-fired power plants to the Syrian city of Aleppo. In January, the two countries signed deals that gave Iran a mobile telephone license and the right to build a new network, also to develop an oil terminal, and to operate phosphate mines. Iran is also getting grants of land for farms and industrial facilities. Yeah, I'm sure that's what they're really interested in. Tehran regards the contracts as payback for money, men, and material it provided that kept Assad in power. Honest. Iran is fast becoming the big dog on the block, my friends. And when I say fast becoming, I mean in the past few weeks. Then from the Washington Institute for the Near East Policy, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, the al-Qaeda-linked successor to Jabhat al-Nusra and Jabhat Fatah al-Sham, I know those titles mean everything to you, has established a stronghold in Syria's Idlib province, benefiting from relocations of fighters from southern and central Syria. Today, Idlib hosts more than 20,000 ISIS fighters, along with their families. On Monday, September 11th, from Reuters, Israeli Intelligence Minister Israel Katz said that President Bashar al-Assad is ready to permit Iran to set up military bases in Syria that would pose a long-term threat to Israel. Katz said the plan was for an Iranian naval port. Bases for Iran's air and ground forces, and for tens of thousands of Shiite militiamen being brought in from various countries to fight alongside their Iranian and Hezbollah co-religionists in Syria. Then from the Jerusalem Post, the threat of Iran remains Israel's preoccupying concern. For Israel, Iran is much more threatening compared to the ISIS threat because Iran is much more sophisticated with an academic infrastructure, industry, scientists, and so on. They're much more similar to us, and that makes them much, much more dangerous. Then on Thursday, September 14th, from Reuters, the Russian Navy fired 7 cruise missiles at ISIS targets in Syria's Deir al-Zor province. The missiles were fired from 2 submarines in the eastern Mediterranean from a distance of 500 to 670 kilometers. That's around 725 miles. Looking at our Intifada update, we have one this week. On Wednesday, September 13th, from the Times of Israel, a Palestinian man brandishing a knife ran toward a bus stop at the entrance to Kiryat Arba in the West Bank before being shot and wounded. 24 hours earlier, on Tuesday, Israeli border police arrested a Palestinian carrying a knife near the tomb of the patriarchs in Hebron. Looking at our review of last week's news, Iran has made at least 4 deals in recent months. 1, to provide gas-fired power plants to the Syrian city of Aleppo. 2, to obtain a mobile telephone license and the right to build a new network. 3, to develop an oil terminal and to operate phosphate mines. And 4, to obtain grants of land for farms and industrial facilities. Is Iran into farming? Hayat Tahrir al-Sham has established a stronghold in Syria's Idlib province with more than 20,000 ISIS fighters. President Bashar al-Assad is ready to permit Iran to set up military bases in Syria that would pose a long-term threat to Israel. The Russian Navy fired 7 cruise missiles at ISIS targets in Syria's Deir al-Zor province. And a Palestinian man brandishing a knife ran toward a bus stop at the entrance to Kiryat Arba in the West Bank before being shot and wounded. And that, my friends, is what the LameStream Media is not telling you. Abba willing, I'll see you here again next week. Until then, stay safe. Shalom.
Crowded rooms, I need more space than I consume. Enough is time alone with you, underneath a naked moon, sharing confidential moods and making chatter. Mockingbird nocturnal sings notations of eternal things, entering the quantum breeze, flying not for want of wings. He lights his gaze on you and me, simply because we matter.